I am now 41 years old, and when I entered my 40s, I felt lost more than ever. I thought the 30s are going to be the time when I have it all figured out, but when I got to 40, I was deep in the chaos of early motherhood. I was navigating sleepless nights and the emotional roller coaster of raising a 1-year-old and being so much more aware of aging now. And at the same time, I feel like moments like this is when the real clarity begins at life. Some really honest questions emerged, and now looking back, I feel like there have been lessons in all of it. Things many of us go through and questions we all need to ask if we want to move forward. I've been definitely guilty of romanticizing my 20s and thinking how fun and full of possibilities those years were. But the truth is, life was easier then, and I was still living at home, going to university, and the biggest worry I had was which club I'm going to go at the weekend. Being young is amazing, that feeling that you have everything ahead of you, but I think when we keep putting that version of ourselves on a pedestal and we keep trying to get back to that, we as a result end up being stuck in the past. And then the risk is that we miss out on the beauty of what's right here and now, or even worse, we stop seeing our own value. I don't like to use the phrase reinventing ourselves. It's not something new that we create. We don't start from scratch. We've evolved, we have more layers, we have experience, we have more depth. It's a good thing. It's really not about starting over, it's about reconnecting with who we are. One exercise that helped me reconnecting was creating a story inventory. I sat down and wrote about all the stories, experiences, and phases that shaped me. I wrote about my dad passing away when I was 11. I wrote about when I moved to the UK at 30, about becoming a mother, getting a dog, growing old with that dog, even like small things as what led me to start CrossFit. It was such a powerful self-awareness exercise, and one that I recommend everyone who is struggling to see and would like to find their own value. If you are struggling to write out your story, you can ask ChatGPT to interview you so that you can elaborate and dig deeper. So for example, in my case, when I turned 30, I moved to the UK with my job, I packed up my life and my dog and started over in Reading. Can you give me 5 questions to help deep dive into this story? Once you answer the questions and you develop your story, you can ask ChatGPT to reflect it back to you, to define the key themes, the lessons and values that run through your life stories. You will be amazed at what you uncover. Most importantly, you will start to see the wisdom, the richness that you carry and how much you have to offer. We need to talk about motherhood. It has certainly been a very big shift, if not the biggest shift in my life, that forced me to do a lot of inner work and growth, but also made me question who I have become. Because whilst our children are our biggest treasure in our life, I think so many of us admit that somewhere along the way we lost ourselves. I remember hearing so many moms saying this when I was pregnant with my son, and I promised myself that it's not going to happen to me. I'm going to stay true to who I am. My life is not going to change. And I tried, but the truth is it did. Now reflecting back, it just made things harder and stressed me out more than it should have been, because life with a baby is not that predictable. You do have a little one to look after. It's not just yourself anymore. I think we need to fully accept that some days even just brushing your teeth is an achievement. Also at the same time, interestingly, I found myself really enjoying motherhood. I also really enjoyed about learning all the new things about sleep habits, about weaning. There is just so much to learn about. And so if I think back, my identity did shift more than I expected. And I remember I feel that kind of guilt when talking to my friends about nap time routine or just challenges that comes with motherhood. I had that feeling that I am boring now. But again, that was my reality. I was deeply invested in something very important. And yet I still felt the pressure to be seen as unchanged. We need to normalize how much motherhood changes us psychologically, and don't guilt mothers into feeling that they need to be living the same life as they have done before. It literally rewires and rewrites our brain. There is a study on that where they have scanned women's brains before their first pregnancy and after their first pregnancy, and the results are profound. The areas responsible for social cognition completely restructure. This is the area that's responsible for understanding how others feel and how we respond to it. So at the end of the day, it's biology. Letting go of control would have been the greatest gift that I could have given myself. Now that my son is 2.5-year-old, he is getting more independent, so it gives me more time and space now to think about who am I becoming now. I'm in a 9-to-5 job, what do I really want next? And also, of course, am I too late to the game? There was a time when the career I'm in felt fulfilling. I really enjoyed traveling, working on exciting projects, meeting new people. But when I got to my 30s, I started to long for something else, and I started to experiment with my creative self. I've been making my own clothes. I really enjoyed sewing back then, diving into wellness, learning about photography. So I really have tapped into different creative areas that I have really enjoyed. And also when I saw other people leading this type of creative life, I felt that voice that says, I wish that was me. And I think when you have that voice, you probably need to listen to it, because that feeling is really your signal that something is missing. You might want to pause and ask, why am I feeling this way? What am I unhappy about? I got to my 40s and nothing has really changed. It did leave me wonder, if I didn't achieve it then when I was in prime, is it too late to start now? I think we've been conditioned to think that the world belongs to the young, and while I do think it's starting to change, there is still a major lack of representation of successful stories of women in their 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond. Not sure how much it is cultural, but where I'm from, in Hungary, appearance carries a lot of weight, and aging feels especially hard on women. If a woman ages, it feels like it's a problem that we need to solve. We really need to shift our mindset that aging is not the end of the road. We do get to choose. That kind of grounded confidence where you feel authentic in whatever you do can only come with experience and age. I look back at my 25-year-old self and I feel like I am so much more confident now than what I was before, and that is because I lived through things. I have work experience behind me, I've gained resilience, I started a family, I'm raising a child, which in itself is forcing me to be more confident or act more confidently, because I need to stand up for him as well, but also I want to model that for him so that he can be a confident adult too. If I choose to look at it this way, aging becomes something valuable and it brings appreciation towards life. There's a quote that I heard somewhere and it has really stuck with me. What you are living today is something you once dreamed about. Think about that. Maybe it's your home, maybe it's your job, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your family, or maybe it's just how far you have come emotionally. Whatever it is, there is a version of you in the past that wished for what you have today. I once dreamed about getting a dog, moving to Budapest, or having a job that I can travel with, and then I was dreaming about moving abroad, and I was dreaming about finding a partner, a husband, getting married, and becoming a mother, and I have them all today. And also, if you reflect and identify the achievements of the past that are now your present, it gives you confidence that you can do it again and again at any stage. And if that's true, if your past created, your present can create your future too. But it starts with a mindset shift. We have to believe that because we age, we are not broken, we are still deserving of the life we dream about. I don't want to sound doom and gloom here, but this question, how much time I have left, is something that I really think about. And I think especially because of having a child now, how long I might be in his life and how many big milestones I get to live with him is something I really think about. I was doing a peloton ride the other day, and obviously, as usual, the instructors are being very motivational, but something that he said really stuck with me. He mentioned, I'm putting in the work now so I can be active in my 90s. And that really brought up all these questions or dilemma that I've been having lately, and I'm dismissing the option as it's something impossible, but I need to be positive about it. And whilst we can't control everything in life, there are definitely steps that we can take to control that narrative as well. And I want to be one of those like vibrant, active 90-year-olds who are still getting around and doing what they love, a lot of energy, and having their family all around them. And the good thing is we can influence how we age. We don't get old because we age, we get old because we stop moving. There is just so much research around this now, how much mobility is like a medicine. Movement helps preventing what doctors call the sedentary death syndrome, essentially the chronic diseases that end most lives. We've heard this message 1,000 times, but I don't really think it has really sunk in. We all know that being active and doing sports and being on our feet is important, yet we still choose not to do it, or we still prioritize the everyday routine. But when I think about it, that I work from home, I pretty much sit in front of my desk all day with work, and then even my creative hope is very much computer based. I know how damaging that is in the long term, and skipping movement, and I'm really deprioritizing because I'm thinking that saves me time, but that is just because I'm thinking in days instead of thinking in decades, because essentially movement can add years and decades to your life. Movement gives life back to us, and that should be the reason to make it non-negotiable. The 4 pillars that everyone should be prioritizing is movement, eating the right food, sleep and rest. And if we have that balance right, we give ourselves a real shot at a long and meaningful life. This quote: "There is no age or skill level where your body won't respond to the positive stress you place on it." This gives me hope. And I also highly recommend watching the Netflix documentary series about blue zones. It shows people in their 90s and 100s, and they are like still riding horses, and they are still full of energy and activity. The documentary series explore the common themes that run through the lives of these individuals or people who live in these blue zone locations. And one thing is movement that is common in all of them, where they are just very active throughout the day. And I'm not talking about lifting weights and going to the gym. It's more about just like doing work with their own hands. They are outside and just being active on a day-to-day. So this is so inspiring, and an active life is something that I would like to build toward. I crave freedom, I crave creativity, I crave to build something of my own and something meaningful, but something is still holding me back. Maybe it is photography that I want to do, but I feel like if it was photography, then I have learned so much about it. I've learned the skills, photo shooting, editing. I learned a lot about the business side of things as well. Yet, I am still not making that step, and so I'm asking the question, what is holding me back? I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it said this: what's holding you back is the thing you can't let go of. It's the identity that we built over time. It's the identity that people know us as. And sometimes when we feel called towards something else, we are afraid to take the next steps because we don't have all of it figured out. But no one really does. Nobody sees the future. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. And the scariest part is not what strangers think, but it's more what people that we know will think of us, our friends and families. And you get that imposter syndrome and start to question how others might see you. I started this YouTube channel. I wanted to promote my videos, but I didn't want to promote it on my account that I already had, because I had family and friends following me on it and I didn't want them to see it. So I ended up creating another Instagram account. I guess the point is, it made me realize how afraid I am of judgment, and that can hold us back more than anything else. So we wait for this clarity and this perfect plan, and what I'm learning now, that you can only get clarity by starting. I came back to a tool, The Artist Way, which is technically a creative workbook, but I honestly think it can be used for more so for your self-discovery journey. I did this workbook when I came to the UK at 30, and I restarted it now in my 40s as well. The morning pages, one of the tools that the book suggests you to use, where you have to write 3 pages when you wake up. It's basically just a brain dump. But what's really powerful is that after a while of doing these morning pages, you will notice some of the things that keeps coming back. For example, I had a fear of driving and I kept complaining about the commute in my morning pages, and that made me realize, maybe this is something that's really bothering me, so it's something that I need to change. And then I started to take some driving lessons. In the end, you notice some patterns that you might want to change in your life. I think one lesson is, if you don't know your end vision, it doesn't mean that you can't take your first step. And you don't need to change your whole life overnight. There are skills that you can step into that your current life and job has space for, and you can learn and research and experiment. Even through learning, I think you can discover so many interests of yours. So photography is something that I like to do as a hobby, and my full-time job is in change management, but I realized that how many transferable skills are that would be really beneficial if I did start a photography business. Skills that you can work on in your current life and full-time job, even if you haven't specifically made the first step of opening up your business. Maybe just try this mindset shift, that you don't see your current job as something that holds you back, but something that can support the new version of you. These are tools, insights and strengths that you are building each day. I think this video is getting a little bit too long, but there is one mindset shift that I want to share with you that I think is so motivational. Instead of thinking, why me? Start thinking, why not me? I look at people who build creative careers and turn their passion into their purpose, and if it's possible for someone, it is possible for you as well. You just need to look around and find inspiration amongst the people that you might already know and has built a successful business out of something that they love doing. We all have tools and choices. We are not broken. We can go for a walk, we can move our body, we can change our energy, and we can change our mindset. We all have a unique perspective to offer, and every day is a chance to start. Sharing these thoughts and fears isn't easy. If you ever questioned your purpose, your path, or worth as the years go by, just know that you are not alone. Let's lift each other up, and if you feel comfortable, share your own story and experience in the comments below. If you have made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. It truly means the world. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to check out my other videos, and hopefully I will see you in this one. Bye!